Heal, and welcome to the HellfireComms Livestream playthrough of Spark the Electric Jester 2. This is a little bonus stream that Spar and I are running today. Unfortunately, Tom's PC is still out of commission, so it's going to be a little while yet until he's back on the channel as normal, but we figured we'd do a handful of extra runs so you guys still have something to watch in the meantime. But while I get started, Spar, do you have any experience with this game at all?
No, it pops up every so often on Steam, as, you know, a recommended thing because I've played some other platformers. And it had my interest in a while. I think I had it on my wish list. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, you know, I don't know if I really like it that much, just from how it looks. Having never actually played Sonic Adventure, I figure I should probably play that before I get into this.
That is fair, because this game is very much Sonic Adventure 2 core in its design, and in some parts that's subtle, in some parts it is not at all subtle. It's just one of them games that, I should say up front, this game was developed by LakeFeperd, who some of you may know as the developer from the Sonic Before the Sequel and Sonic After the Sequel fan games.
Okay.
Which are some of the more well-received fan games out there, to my knowledge. The first game in this series was also a 2D platformer. This is the sequel that, as you can see from the visuals here, is more inspired by the 3D Sonics, and I think that kind of sets it apart from the first one, because the first game, some people might be wondering why we're jumping straight into 2. It's literally just because I feel like playing a 3D platformer right now, honestly. The first game is a lot more divisive than this one, from what I've seen. And that's primarily because it's another 2D platformer, and it admittedly isn't quite as polished as some of the other not Sonics out there, like your Freedom Planets and whatnot. This game, I feel it's a lot more unique in what it's offering, because, you know, there's a lot of indie 2D games out there, not quite so many with this particular not Sonic feel to it.
This cutscene right here that we have with Dr. Armstrong, not to be confused with Senator Armstrong. This one right here, I'm getting Sonic Forces vibes from the cutscene direction, actually.
A little bit, I can kind of see it. It's got its own little... I don't know how to really describe the art direction of this. It's got a bit of a sketchy sort of look, but in 3D, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it obviously doesn't look like Adventure in the cutscenes because it doesn't have the weird motion capture.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's different than that, at least in the cutscene department. So what is the story that we have for whatever this game is going to end up being?
Okay, so this character who we're playing as here, this is Fark. He was one of the supporting cast in the original game. The story setup basically is that Spark, who you play as in the first game, is on holiday right now, but shit's still going down. So we've got the character who was basically the shadow in a way to Spark Sonic, is your protag here. And it's basic setup stuff. The narrative itself isn't quite as important as just the general spectacle that goes on.
For real, yeah.
That's why I haven't really worried too much about just starting on the sequel here. But this game's general gameplay, it's sort of Sonic-y, but with parrying. That's pretty much what you need to know here.
Yeah, I did know that they had, like, boss fights, which was probably the main thing that turned me off from wanting to play it. Is like, in addition to like the Sonic Adventure gameplay, you have these 3D combat boss fights that didn't look especially great combined with, you know, the fast Sonic-y gameplay. So
the way I would describe it is that that kind of gameplay feels completely pointless in the main levels. Like, you can see there's enemies here that I'm just running past because, like, I'm a Sonic player. I know going fast, I don't know something to do combat. But when you get to the actual intentional boss areas, then you start to appreciate the, like, combat a bit more, because it is very much a parry-driven action game. Because it's one of the things that you usually have, you either have a dodge-based combat or you have a parry-based combat. And usually I prefer dodge, but for this game I think the parry works. And one of the little gimmicks here, you may notice that I've picked up a new costume here that may remind you of a certain character from another series.
I can't see it very well on the stream, unfortunately. Because of the bitrate, and I have to turn the quality down as well.
Okay, well, it's the shoes on the way he runs that's kind of the giveaway here.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see it.
And to add on to that, the name for this particular costume is Edgy. And all of these, they basically just give you slight adjustments to Fark's moveset. It's enough that you don't really need to worry about having a particular one, but I like this particular one because the sword attack that it gets is cool, and I get to run like Shadow.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Shadow Run is actually pretty cool. And it honestly looks a bit ridiculous at higher speeds as well.
Oh, absolutely. Although we have also got on the channel ongoing your run of Final Fantasy XII, where you're using the speed up, which has a similar kind of look to it, which I adore.
Oh, like when I went into the 4x speed option during the last stream, when I was like backtracking through one of the dungeons, Tom just like could not handle the speed that it was going at.
It's just one of the things that you can tell when a particular animation has been made to play back at like a certain speed, and then when it doesn't, it's just this sort of uncanny valley going on.
Just watching this, I appreciate how open all the levels are. I guess that's an adventure thing, again, which, they do not use much in later Sonic games.
It's more of a Adventure 1 thing than an Adventure 2 thing. This game is, like, I know I keep referring to it as like a not Sonic. That is selling it a little bit short, to be fair, because like it does mix and match things from a handful of different games. One thing that I will say, the biggest thing that distinguishes this from Sonic, the thing that you will have to get a feel for if you're used to playing Sonic and just Sonic, is 3D Sonic games use a lot of automation. So like when you go around a loop, it automates it. When you got certain long running paths, it automates it. This game has essentially no automation. So when you've got your fast sections, you need to be careful not to run off the edge, which sounds like it should be a disaster. But it just makes it really fucking satisfying when you do some cool shit because, like, you did that. It wasn't just the game doing that for you.
Yeah, the automation that I see so far is like when you hit a spring and it launches you in the air. That's about it.
Even then, though, like, the spring, it fires you up, but I still have a lot more control over where I land than when you hit a spring in Sonic.
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, the underwater section is very hard to see on the stream, but the YouTube version should look just fine, thanks to the magic of OBS local recording.
Yeah, we've had to cut my bitrate down a little bit because I think my internet must have been getting throttled for a moment or something. But the YouTube version should look a lot nicer, given I'm recording it at least 10 times the bitrate that you see on stream with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Got a boss fight incoming, and this is where we're going to see the slight gameplay switch that I was talking about.
I've seen some of these bosses be like mid-level, and one of the big complaints was that some of those really detract from, the speed and flow of, the level you're going through, when it just pops up in the middle of one of the running sections, and you have to stop and fight something. I don't know how true that is. Of course, Steam reviews can be anything.
Yeah, Steam reviews can be an absolute broken game that one guy says it works on my machine, and so therefore it's fantastic. But what you're talking about, it is a problem on occasion, but it's not enough of a problem to be an overall detraction, I don't think. And I'm going to have to get a feel for timing these parries again, because if you get it where you parry it perfectly and you just get that like blue around the little barrier, that does a bit of damage to him. So that's kind of how you play this game effectively rather than just button mashing like I'm kind of doing.
Okay, yeah.
Like that there, what I just did was like what the game's actually intending for you to do.
This is a very first boss of SA2 boss.
A little bit, yeah.
Very similar design. It's like that boss, but with swords.
Like that. When you do that, that just feels so bloody good.
Oh yeah, the perfect parries in anything that has like this kind of system feels really nice.
And I should stress that the frame drops are just then, that is intentional. That's something they do to just make it more dramatic.
Oh, okay. I mean, good on them, I guess.
Well, it's the sort of thing that this is a game that's mostly made by one guy. I think most of the work's done by LakeFeperd on the soundtrack. As far as I recall, that was Andy Tunstall who did the music. So it is quite a small project, so I can forgive a lot of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for being like one guy, this is honestly pretty polished, I gotta say. All the models look pretty clean, the levels are like huge, to be honest. And like lots of different places you can go and everything.
Yeah, the level design is very much trying to play to the strength of, I guess, both adventure games, in that you do have places you can explore, like in SA1, but there is also a straight route through if you want to play it in more of a linear kind of like format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good compromise. Do you know anything about Spark 3?
Yeah, that's still a work in progress. I've played the demo, and that one, it's going back to Spark as the main character, so it's not quite so combat focused as this, but it does, in exchange for that, it does bring in some more speed-oriented design ideas. Like, you got a new revamped grinding system in that, which I think is really cool, because they're actually trying to make grinding into actual gameplay by, you have to use the crouch thing when you're going downhill, but it works against you if you do it when you're going uphill, which is a design decision that maybe Sonic should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, I asked that because Spark 3 actually showed up on Twitch when I was setting the game info for this stream. So I thought it was actually already available. But if it's a demo, then it's probably just that.
Yeah, it will be. There's a work in progress. Like, I think there's a public demo and a more recent backer demo. Because like LakeFeperd, I think he's funding the newer stuff on Patreon. So if you're interested in this game, that's something to go and have a look at. But like, this is very modern Sonic. If we're going to go back to the Sonic comparisons, which I realise I'm doing a lot of, but
I mean, this is nice because you're actually controlling yourself on these platforms instead of just holding the boost button down or holding forward or whatever and Sonic turns for you.
Yeah, I should actually talk a little bit about the way the boost works, because it's not just a hold boost to win sort of thing like modern Sonic does. The way it works is that you can just tap the button to get a quick burst of speed, which is useful if you're like stuck on a bit of terrain, or you maybe land on a incline at the wrong point. It doesn't stop you at a halt, you can save yourself.
Seems like an air dash.
It's sort of that, but it works on the ground too. But if you keep doing it, then you don't get any benefit from it, which is kind of what separates it. So you can't just spam it. I wonder if I can land here. No, I can't. I thought I was gonna do something clever there, but no.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Most of the time, when you see something in the distance, you can, and so like just the one or two sections where it's just a bit of terrain in the background. Maybe I should look where I'm landing.
Yeah. That didn't seem like a super great checkpoint that you got sent back to. It wasn't terribly far back, but it was a bit further than I expected.
In fairness, like, it looks like a long way back, but when you consider how fast I'm going, it's not really that far, all things considered.
Yeah, so what about the big boost that I've seen you do a couple times?
Okay, so this is one that you can do in the air. You hold down the trigger and charge it up with the B button, and then it just fires you forward, and that is, from what I understand, it's intended to be a recovery thing. but I sometimes like to do it just because it feels good to do. I'm a very simple man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about the little yellow prisms that you're picking up? Do those power the dash?
They are mostly for recovering health.
Okay.
So, like you see, I got hit there and chipped a bit off. If I pick up a few of them, it'll just charge the health back up.
Okay. Yeah, there was so many of them around. I figured that it would be a bit ridiculous for it to be HP, but I guess there's also plenty of things to be hit by if you're like exploring around and stuff.
It's like I say, it's kind of one of them things where you can play it as a speed game or you can play it as a combat game. So if you're the sort of person who wants to just rack up score by fighting the enemies, then you'll probably take a lot more chip damage than what I'm doing just from running.
Yeah, but you could also just like run past everything. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff like down on those lower paths that you were ignoring as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But then that's just the way I play this kind of thing. I like to go fast.
This is how I would be playing it too, because I mean, I want to go fast as well. I want it to be a not Sonic, basically, is what I want out of this. I did see a bit of automation in the like speed booster turns there, but like there was enough speed to it that it felt okay.
Yeah,
I don't think there was any other way to have a section like that, so I can forgive a little bit.
It's a little bit as a spectacle thing. It's not overdone.
And this is the, suddenly there's an enemy to fight kind of thing. This, I think, is probably okay simply because you've been in a speed level for the past 4 minutes. So now there's suddenly something to fight. And the fact that the level has been 4 minutes long, deaths aside, is pretty good, actually.
That's 3 Sonic Forces.
I was actually I mentioned in our Discord that we have for the like HFC mods and stuff that I was giving up on recording Colors DS for the non-com channel, which I had been planning to do as a way to practice for my run in the Sonic-a-thon 2 coming up next month. Hint, hint, plug, plug. But just playing the game for like an hour, I was like, I hate this. Trying to get perfect runs. Playing it casually on a stream, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can do that all day. Trying to get a good run on a recording, my arm was actually sore from holding the D-pad down on my controller.
What controller are you using?
That's how bad it was. It was... I had swapped back and forth between my PS4 controller and my 8-bit-do, and the 8-bit-do controller was actually a lot worse on the D-pad. The PS4 controller is honestly fine. I think it has one of the best D-pads I've ever used on a controller.
The PS4 one is nice. Ever since I've got me PS5, I've kind of switched to that as my main like 2D game controller. But like, it's one of the things of like my decider is mainly where the D-pad is. For 2D games, I like the PlayStation style. For 3D games like this, right now I'm using my custom Xbox One controller that I picked out that's mostly black but has the most obnoxiously bright orange control sticks. Just because I've got to be that little bit extra.
All right. That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
It's something that Microsoft do as an official thing. Like, you can either buy the pre-built ones from a shop, or if you go on the Microsoft website, there's a section where you can just pick out the colours and order one.
Okay, I was not aware of this. It's actually been an extremely long time since I've used an Xbox controller for anything. I've been using either the 8-bit-do or the PlayStation 4 controller for a while now.
Yeah, the Xbox controllers, they're just consistent. I like them because with how PC gaming is now, pretty much any game, if you just plug an Xbox controller in, it'll work with no fucking around. So that's why I like the Xbox ones mostly.
One of the things on Clone Hero, which is a Guitar Hero fan-made kind of thing, they have a spreadsheet showing like different types of controllers that work with it, because there's 6 billion different guitar peripherals that companies came out with and stuff.
Yeah.
And suddenly I have a cat here. And one of the things, of course, is the official Xbox, Explorer brand controller shaped like the Explorer type of guitar.
Yeah, I have one of those.
And the description on how to use it is just a picture of Todd Howard holding the controller saying it just works.
I wish it was that easy with the official games now. Like, I was just looking, ever since I got my Xbox Series X, I've been thinking, like, maybe I'll get back into Rock Band. I've got a lot of DLC from Rock Band on the Xbox. But I was just looking into the controller things, and it's like, you have to get adapters, but the adapters only seem to work with certain guitars, and like if you want to use other ones, and like some of the adapters are like, it's been long enough that they're now stupid money on eBay, so it's like, I'll pass for now if you don't mind.
Unfortunately, that niche really just kind of died in a fiery ball. Actually, it wasn't even that, it was more like just a whimper.
Yeah, there was that 1 year where there were like 5 Guitar Hero games and 3 Rock Band games, and it overkilled it, and people just stopped giving a fuck.
That sounds like Activision.
Yeah, Activision did their thing, and I think it was just sort of coincidentally that year that Harmonix had a lot of stuff lined up as well, and I might have got myself lost. Never mind.
Precious, you gotta stop making noise. I think Rock Band was fine. They spread out their releases quite a bit, because I think Rock Band 3 was coming out around the time of like the 9th Guitar Hero game. To be fair, a lot of the Guitar Hero games were the band-specific ones, which were kind of mini-games kind of thing, so they weren't like the full ones.
Yeah, but they still cost money, and they still put out like 4 of them a year.
Yeah, they did put out a lot of them. The Guitar Hero Aerosmith game, I think, made more money for the band than any of their albums ever did. Any single album. Which is believable, but also kind of insane, and actually I think it says more about the music industry than the game industry.
Well, in fairness, like for years now, the biggest way to make money from music is, like it has been from licensing. Like it's up before that was a thing. It was mostly like you'd make more from letting it out to adverts and things like that. And like so, when you've got a game that now a publisher is willing to pay you a fuckload of money to use your music, like that's going to be a big chunk as well, especially if you get a royalty deal.
Oh, for sure, because they had tons of songs that were in it. They did exclusive interviews with the band. I don't think they did exclusive interviews for the Metallica or Van Halen ones. They put a lot more work into Aerosmith.
The Metallica one had a fair bit of polish. The Van Halen one was very much just let's push out one more game. And I think what kind of showed that off is that came out very close to 5, but it was still using the World Tour engine, which was lacking a lot of the like quality of life stuff that the Guitar Hero 5 engine had, and it just made you think that you could probably have just held on to this for like another 3 months, and it would have been a much better game.
See, I don't know if it was different on versions, but I had the PS2 version of all of them, and the one I played was using the Guitar Hero 5 engine. It was also like given as a like, if you bought Guitar Hero 5, you could like get Van Halen for free. They would like, if you like put a code in online that came in the box with 5, they would send Van Halen to you, like a free copy of it. So that's how I got it as well.
Fair. Yeah, like the PS2 ones, they were handled by, I want to say, Beanox, and they just kept on reusing the same assets over and over. So, like, if you were playing on PS2 or Wii, which I think the Wii ones was Vicarious Visions, it probably did feel a lot more repetitive than the 360 and PS3 ones.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they used the Guitar Hero 5 engine at the very least, because they had you could hit chords as like the hammer-ons, which was only in 5 up to that point. So I know that they had that at least. They definitely weren't still using World Tour for that, but yeah, I think Metallica might have had some interviews or like special videos that may not have been shown otherwise. Van Halen just had nothing. And I think the fact that it was basically given out for free definitely shows that they didn't have a lot of work into it, especially considering they basically ignored half of Van Halen's catalog because they only used songs with David Lee Roth and ignored Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, it's one of the things that it kind of defeats the point of doing a band-specific game if you're going to do that, don't it?
I think that's fine because, personally, I think Sammy Hagar sounds terrible. And I think David Lee Roth is fine. But that's a personal opinion more than anything else.
I think some of the Hagar stuff I've heard's alright. No, admittedly, the stuff that is coming to my mind is more his solo stuff rather than Van Halen stuff, but still.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Most of the live songs that I've heard from Van Halen have been with Hagar because I guess, that would be the more recent stuff that people have videos of. I would guess is the case. We have like a snowy level here to actually talk about the game for once.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a game, aren't we? I forgot about that. Yeah, this level is where they start getting a bit more of the whole bottomless pit design going in beyond just stuff that I'm idiotically jumping into because I'm not looking.
I feel like you have a decent bit of control in the air, though, to avoid the bottomless pits, at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential to correct yourself if you make a jump wrong, and that's something else that the little mid-air dash helps with as well.
Yeah, because you've got a pretty good control on a single jump, and then you have a double jump. You have the light dash and the big dash, so you have plenty of ways to correct yourself, but also you're still going pretty fast, so you do have to be careful regardless.
Yeah, them enemies are trying, bless them. They're really trying.
I think being able to parry while you're running is really cool, because you can just go right through an obstacle instead of having to avoid it. That's some badass shit.
It is, especially in later levels. We'll show you where the level design is specifically built with that in mind.
Yeah, this is honestly pretty cool. That enemy died a lot faster than some of the other ones that you've had to fight.
In fairness, I was actually using the parry that time.
Oh, right. So about how long is this game, would you say?
We're probably like a third of the way through. It is a very short game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty understandable. That's good because, I can't go for too long. It's going to run into dinner time and whatnot.
Fair enough.
That's why I have to do some testing with some of the stuff that I plan to do on stream. Just to go ahead and say, we're looking at doing a playthrough of Super Mario Sunshine on the stream tomorrow. I need to make sure that I'm going to be able to play it and not going to have a hiccup like what happened during Harry Potter and the Adaptathon.
Yes, please.
where the game crashed. I mean, I'm going to be saving in Sunshine because it's a lot easier to save in that game. You save automatically, like, after each level, as opposed to Harry Potter where you have to do it manually.
Yeah, so you're going to be emulating the GameCube version on the Wii U, right?
Yes, I'm going to be doing that through the homebrew on Wii U. So it's going to look very jaggy. You're going to see all 480 pixels stretched out as much as possible.
It's fine. In fairness, a lot of modern Nintendo games look like that too.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Sunshine honestly still looks really good, the original. Obviously smoother on like the 3D collection on Switch, but like you can't buy that anymore.
Oh, God, it's been like a couple of years now, and God, that still feels like one of the most fucking stupid things Nintendo had done.
Like, I'm gonna be honest. I rented that from GameFly. I think I've told the story on stream before, and it took like 2 weeks, and I hadn't gotten it. And so I contacted them and was like, hey, I haven't gotten this yet. Do you have like an update on where it is? And they're just like, oh, we'll just send you another copy. And I was like, oh, all right. So I, got one of them in the mail, and then like a week later I got a second one in the mail. I was like, oh, it did finally get here. I have 2 copies now. This is a limited timed thing. I could just keep one of these and be an absolute asshole. But no, I ended up sending both of them back because I didn't really care to buy or own the game. I guess I didn't really care for 3D All Stars that much, so I was like, I'm gonna like send it back. Someone that actually wants to play this can have it instead, because I still have access to all the games that were on 3D All Stars. They're actually all on my Wii U through different methods of emulation.
All I can take away from this conversation is you are a much more morally sound person than I am.
I mean, it was also a case where, like, I don't really want to own this game, I guess is the case. I just rented it so that I could record it for the non-com channel, and then I didn't end up doing that anyway.
And honestly, like, the widescreen is nice, but it is ultimately just a simple emulation job. You're not really missing much if you only have the original copies of those games.
Yeah, I still have, I'm pretty sure I have a copy of Sunshine, the actual disc of it, and I own 64 on the Wii eShop, transferred over to Wii U, of course. I have Galaxy 2 on the eShop because they had it as a Nintendo Rewards thing. At one point, they didn't have the first Galaxy on there for whatever strange reason. So I do have Galaxy on there now through like the homebrew stuff, though.
Yeah, Galaxy 2's basically the only one of the main 3D Mario games that I haven't actually touched at all. I have it on me Wii U, but never got around to touching it properly, although, in fairness, I do lean more toward 2D Mario. My favourite Mario game on the whole is Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, although I think just my love for the Game Boy look and feel is a big part of that.
I feel like that's not a very common opinion.
Probably, Land is one of those games that it's either their favourite or one that they really don't like, because it's like the most different out of all the 2D Marios.
Yeah, I remember the playthrough of 3D Land that Tom did with Datai on the channel way back when, and I remember watching this and I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but also this looks really boring.
3D Land is okay, but a bit safe. I think 3D World is just an improvement in like basically every way.
Oh, see, the thing is, I also think 3D World looks boring.
It's fun. We did do a playthrough of that on the channel earlier this year. We did notice through playing that although it sells itself as a multiplayer game, a lot of the levels really don't seem designed for multiplayer in mind.
Yeah, I remember you guys having a lot of problems with the online part of the multiplayer. Probably owing to, people living in different countries. Also Nintendo Internet stuff, so...
In fairness with that, some of the trouble we have was just connection fuckery, but a lot of it was just the way the game's designed. It doesn't translate that well to when you're not in the same room and you don't really have that same, direct communication going on. Because, I think the thing that caused us the most bullshit deaths is the fact that what Mario games tend to do, when you get hit by something or when you pick a power-up, you know how you get that couple of frames of the screen just freezing, just to let you know you did a thing? Well, that happens for all the players. And so if someone's trying to line up a jump, or if someone's getting ready to run to a certain place or something, it's going to throw them off. And so what usually ends up happening there is one guy will pick up an item, which means the three of us who are not that person just end up doing something stupid.
Yeah, that sounds really bad, quite frankly. I kind of can't believe they would do something like that. It makes sense for, single player. That's the way Mario's always been with the power-ups and stuff. But, man, doing that in multiplayer where it freezes everyone else, I think it would be fine if it just froze the one player. It'd be fine if it freezed them, too. Yeah, that'd be great.
But I feel like it's one of the things that where it was clearly a game that was designed as a local multiplayer thing first, and then just the Switch version just sort of plonked on some online multiplayer, It was probably one of the things that it wasn't really thought about that much. But yeah, we have another boss now, and I've got to say, this arena here looks absolutely beautiful.
I'm sure it does.
When you're not looking at it at like 2,000 kilobytes a second, yeah.
Right, yeah. Right now, it just kind of looks like the piss dimension.
No, it's got the sort of transparency effects I like a lot. It's one of them sort of more subtle effects that you can do without having to do anything too taxing on the system. Because I can't remember what the exact system requirements are for this, but I'm pretty sure it's one of them games that runs on basically anything.
Yeah, seems like it. I think another one of the reasons that I wasn't like super interested in trying this is because I wasn't sure my computer could run it. I have like a better graphics card now, so I'm absolutely certain that I could. But I'm still kind of at the point where I don't really want to try.
This isn't going too well.
This is yeah, you're getting your ass handed to you.
Well, the once. I will take it.
Oh, all right, nice.
The Necromaniac, we've got too many Sonic 2D collections. I agree, but also I think Origins has it has a place, given its like properly rebuilt versions of the games.
Aren't most of the 2D collections like bad? Like bad versions, bad ports?
It depends what ones you got, because as far like in terms of the ones that are out on current systems, you've either got the ones on Steam right now, which are basically just the ROM, and the ones on Switch, I've heard they're kind of alright. The ones that are really bad are the 360 PS3 ones, because they're the backbone ports that have all kinds of weird audio quirks.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, like some of the old collections I've heard, like had some weird ports or whatever. I might be thinking of something else. I've actually seen a lot of posts of people like being nostalgic for like Sonic Jam or the Gems collection or something like that, with all the talk of Origins coming out.
The Mega Collection in the US, I believe, is a pretty good one. Over here, we got the PAL versions, which, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of going to happen. Also, Precious is back.
Oh, bless her.
Surprised she's coming to see me. My dad is home. She usually goes to, try to get attention from him whenever he's home. He's her favorite.
Yeah, but also you are talking to the shiny metal box on your desk like a madman, aren't you? So she's probably wondering what's going on there.
I do that all the time.
True. Now we get into some Pika Steg.
All right. I haven't been paying attention to any of the dialogue that's been going on, so I know the story is not the most important thing for this game, but I have zero clue what is happening.
I wouldn't worry too much. Like I said at the start, it's more of a spectacle thing. When something cool happens in the story, it will grab your attention, don't worry.
Alrighty. So, I'm not too interested in getting Origins, because I'm not a 2D guy. But I'm happy that it's being made, because you guys are getting such good ports with like all the cool things being added and stuff. Even if there is like the kerfuffle that happened with the DLC or pre-order versions or whatever that was.
Basically, they're just doing the Ubisoft thing where there's like 300 different ways to buy the game, which is kind of unnecessary, especially for like re-releases of Mega Drive games. Just seems a little bit unnecessary.
I hope that getting Origins and like good stuff off of the classic games means they're gonna start like maybe looking into proper ports of Adventure and not having like the weird lighting that goes on in the PC versions or whatever, but don't know how likely that is.
No, if we get Adventure ports, they will take the existing Steam port, which is a port of the 360 version, which is a port of the old Mastertronic one, and then they'll slap more extra shit on it.
Yeah, I mean, if it ends up being good, that's great, but what they really need to do is take the original, as problematic as that would probably be, because Dreamcast and build up from there rather than taking something that's already like breaking its back to hold on to 40 different systems.
Basically, yeah. It's eventually is pretty much entirely documented what's wrong with the ports now, but I'm kind of glad that for the most part we seem to be past that era with porting now.
You say that, but Color's Ultimate.
Well, yeah. See, that was a weird one because they would have been genuinely better off just fucking emulating the thing, but for whatever reason they didn't.
Yeah, I get to play that and hopefully not have the game crash while saving and destroy my save file, as I've seen happen to some players. I saw someone who was actually speedrunning have that happen, where he just completely crashed and destroyed the save file, which I guess when you're speedrunning that's not a big deal, because, it's just a throwaway save file anyway, but it's still not fun.
No, it's sort of... Something is going wrong with the way Sega handle their outsourced teams. This is kind of a recurring thing, because the same sort of situation happened when they got another team in to work on Rise of Lyric.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Sega fucked that up. That wasn't the devs' fault for the most part. It was Sega who made the deal with Nintendo, behind the devs' back. So they had this game that they'd been developing for the Xbox One and PS4 and were suddenly having to port it over to the Wii U at the last minute. Which kind of doesn't work. Now we are back in the void.
Oh, we are in the void, Jesus. I feel like the screens in the background are reminding me of, for whatever reason, at the end of Metal Gear Rising when Raiden just brings up all the social media posts. That's what that was making me think of.
Well, they literally were just talking about Armstrong, so maybe. If there's one thing that I can say LakeFeperd has been, consistent as hell with, I shouldn't have jumped in, it's just the general aesthetic and art direction that's going on, because the original game had a lot of moments like this as well, where it's like the level design and that, we've already talked about how great that is, but just at any given moment I can just turn the camera around and there is something that looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, this looks awesome, and I mean, it's kind of just Techno City, which has been done before, but man, I like pretty lights.
It's got a sort of vaporwave aesthetic to it almost, which I'm always down for.
Yeah, this is really cool. It's actually showing up pretty well on the bitrate, surprisingly. You'd think something like this would actually screw it over.
I think it's because the different colours on the screen are very different. You usually get artifacting when it's more shades of stuff, because that's when the compression tends to just borrow details from the previous frame.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, it's still artifacting everywhere, but I can still tell what's going on.
Yeah, you can see me having a heart attack there, because I home-in attacked when I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I'm not going to make that, but it was worth a try. Oh, will I make it? No, I've run out of dash. Never mind.
You tried, and that's what's important.
I tried, I failed, I embarrassed myself, but whatever.
I mean, you didn't die, and therefore it's okay.
I like that logic. Oh, done it again. I'm finding all these new areas I've never actually been to before, just because of how this game's level design works.
Yeah, there's so much here. There's you could spend hours just exploring each individual level, I feel like.
It's one of them games that I haven't looked into speedruns of this, but I bet people have a lot of fun trying to figure out routes for this.
Yeah, I imagine routing this game was pretty nuts. The most fun that I ever had with speedrunning A Hat in Time was just routing a meme category, actually, which was all collectibles, which is all the timepieces, including all the DLCs, all of the Death Wish stamps, every hat, every hat flare, all the yarns, every rift coin, and every outfit that you can get. And that's a lot of stuff. And it's also a lot of stuff when you realize they added like dozens of cosmetic outfits and stuff with the DLC, which costs like hundreds, if not thousands, of pawns. You would spend literally hours farming pawns for the all collectibles run. It's kind of stupid the way it's gotten now. I was routing it before it got too ridiculous. I never actually ended up doing a run of it, which I couldn't anyway because I can't do Death Wish. Even though I was a speedrunner for the game, I never actually did Death Wish because I don't do difficult things, I do fast things. And I mean, even what I just said is not correct most of the time.
Let's use the edgy one again.
You're just doing too much of the button mashing. I think this is the smallest like enemy you fought so far, so it's kind of hard to see what they're doing. I kind of like the design of the boss fights. You know, aside from this guy being kind of small so you can't see, I'm liking the parry-based system. I think parry-based systems are fine as long as there is a dedicated button for the parry. I'll be honest, I actually don't like the system in Metal Gear Rising because there's no dedicated button for it. Because it's just timing, and I don't like that compared to having, you know, the dedicated button for it.
I never did get a proper feel for the way Rising handles parries, and granted that's because when I first played it was years ago, and I didn't really understand action game mechanics in general back then, but yeah. It's just one of them kind of things that around that time was when I first played DMC Devil May Cry, like before I played Rising. So I was very much in the mindset of the more dodge kind of action games. And it's like, when you jump from one of those games to the next one, they're similar enough that you think you have muscle memory from, even though you don't.
I mean, Metal Gear Rising does have a dodge. It's just probably not as versatile.
It's not as smooth as the DMC one, but here we have a big bad guy, and he looks fucking cool.
Yeah, I kind of like the designs on all of them. I love the symmetry, actually, of all their designs. So many light games have characters that are asymmetrical, which I guess, you know, the ninja guy here with the eye band is asymmetrical because of that, but that's fine too. At least that's badass.
Yeah, what Sam Book said is something that really sells the boss's ear to me as well, and the fact that when you retry it, it just throws you back in. You know, there's no load screen, you don't have to rewatch your cutscene, and that in itself makes what might be a new gameplay style to you much less frustrating.
Well, it's better than Sonic 06 then.
Oh yeah, no, don't you like having like a piss break every time you die?
I kid, but I actually really like Sonic 06. If I had a copy of it, I would have volunteered to play it.
Yeah, I like it for what it is. It's one of them games that I know everything that's wrong with it, but I can't dislike it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's really fun. It's one of those games that I actually had trouble finding serious glitches in, which is pretty surprising for me, of all people. But I played it for the original Sonic-a-thon, I believe, and I did all of it in one sitting. Or I mean, I had breaks between each story, but it was all in one day, and I think that was 11 hours or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that was an actual one-sitting run. Like, I love it how I've got several playthroughs on my gameplay channel, which are like fucking 40-hour long plays, and every single time there's someone who comments saying, "Did you do this in one sitting?" And it's like, no. I don't think, especially like for the 3DS games, I don't think the battery would last that long.
Yeah, he just sort of comboed you there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here that you can't really tell what you're being hit by. Obviously the sword stuff is fine, because that's obvious, but you're being hit by, like, lightning strikes or something, or just energy waves that don't have much of an animation.
Yeah, because, like, he does the warm-up thing, but, like, that there, I don't know what he's trying to signify there, because it doesn't seem... Like, it does what looks like a wave attack, and then it just goes to that full-screen flash.
Yeah, the rings of that shockwave don't seem to do anything themselves. It's like a tell for the next attack, is what it feels like to me.
Okay. He seems to have some kind of after thing, because I've died here a couple of times, haven't I?
Yeah, his health runs out, and then he kind of does something else. And one time he ended up, like, killing you from about this point or something.
Well, that's fine for people watching that on YouTube. That was definitely my first attempt, don't worry.
Yeah, that one was a bit strange. I don't know about that.
Once I'd got him, it must have just been one desperation move that I just was at the last point of my own health for or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when he did get to that point where he was at 1 HP, you were also at 1 HP.
Yeah.
And so you thought he was dead, but then he got back up and started hitting you again. I guess I should ask, is there voice acting for this?
No, there's not. It's text dialogue.
Okay.
There are some vocal themes though, like, I know you can't hear because you're just watching on the stream, but the battle theme for, like, the standard bosses has vocals, and it's just a really fucking sick song.
Alright. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look up the OST for this.
It is fantastic. What I think is cool about that is, in the original game, the guy we're playing as now, Fark, he had, like, a post-game, like, bonus campaign that you could do. And that was a song that played during parts of his story there, and they brought that back as his battle theme in this game, which is neat.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Because it was one of them that, because the original game, it was mostly not retro style music, but it was all instrumental, and that was just like the one vocal theme, so it stood out.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a level that definitely uses the parrying level geometries and objects.
Oh yeah, this is actually really cool. I'm liking the, like, going up on the walls and tunnels and stuff like that. This looks really cool.
This is one of them levels where it's very easy to lose track of which way is up.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes the gravity doesn't shift quite the right way. And it looks like you don't take a whole lot of health damage from obstacles, so you're, like, the chances of you dying is more like falling into a bottomless pit than it is, you know, getting hit by a bunch of stuff, unless you run into everything ever.
Yeah, we'll ignore that bit. But yeah, basically I think what they're going for is that the punishment you get from hitting, like, the lasers and spikes is more that it slows you down and breaks the pace, rather than it's gonna kill you.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, for a game like this, that works.
Yeah, I mean, that is a punishment, because this is a game that looks nice when it's at a proper speed, so you want to be going fast unless you're trying to explore stuff.
Okay, I need to work on my timing.
I feel like a gravity shift mechanic, like in some of the Mario or Sonic games, could be something they bring back for Spark 3.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I haven't seen any of that, so I can't tell you what it is or isn't in that game. Maybe that's something that could be done here on the stream at a later date whenever it comes out.
Yeah, when it comes out properly, we can do a proper run of it. Camera, close.
Yeah, camera's a bit finicky in this one. Getting caught up in the boss's character model here.
Yeah, this is doing the slowdown in a way that I'm not really that big on, to be fair.
Yeah, that's really messing with the timing.
I can see why they might have made that decision, but it's not really working in practice. Because I think what he's trying to do is just exaggerate that, yes, this is where he is, this is what he's about to do, but yeah, like that there, I feel like the lasers didn't show up until a couple of frames too late.
Yeah, you took the damage before the lasers appeared.
I do want to stress a lot of this is just me sucking, because I didn't have as much trouble when I first played this, but you know.
I mean, that bit where you're taking the damage before the laser even comes out is awful. Like, that's objectively bad, I think. There's no getting around that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like some frame rate fuckery or something, given I've got it running at 60, but me monitor's at 120 or something, because that happens with some games.
Could be, yeah. I wouldn't think so, because most games, I feel like, are okay with that.
I don't know, there's some, like, published games with a publisher that have that problem.
Okay. Seems like you're getting decent damage now, at least.
But also to myself. There we go. Has he got a last attack? No, he hasn't. Cool.
Yeah, it seems like you were actually doing decent damage to him that time. I don't know what was really different about that run.
I think I was getting twatted less, so it was like easier to keep the combo going.
Fair, yeah. I mean, some games have glitches when you run them at 60, like when they brought Kingdom Hearts 2 to the PS4 and tried to run at 60, like, some things just weren't working, period. The physics was entirely messed up, and so they had to patch it later on.
Usually you get that a lot with like PS2, GameCube era ports, because it used to be quite common practice when you were doing implementing game logic to have the game count a certain number of frames before the next thing happens.
Yeah.
And naturally, when you're increasing the frame rate, that's going to make that go by faster. And while that's gradually changed, there are still some games that come out with that problem. Like I noticed the re-release of Sonic CD and Adventure 2 both have that on PC, that sometimes if your refresh rate runs at 120 or higher, then just the game tries to play at an increased speed.
Oh, okay, so it does the PAL 60 Sonic Heroes kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Well, the PAL 60 one, that's weird because, like, a lot of the time with PAL 60 conversions, they would base it on the NTSC version. But for that, for some reason, they'd made the PAL 50 variant, and despite having the NTSC one to hand, they decided to just speed up the 50Hz one.
Yeah, it literally is just 50 hertz, but it runs 20% faster. So
it's Sonic Heroes Turbo mode, yeah.
Yeah, and so for certain speedrun categories, they actually use that version because it just runs the game faster. If it's a category that doesn't use the in-game timer, because that would run at normal speed regardless.
Yeah, the in-game timer is sped up naturally, and I didn't actually realise until I recorded that for the LP we did a while back, because I legitimately thought there was something wrong with my recording, because I'd have like a 5-minute recording that would say 7 minutes on the timer or some shit like that. And
right, yeah.
I didn't even realise what was going on there, and I looked it up and that's what it was.
Yeah, Hat in Time is actually one of the recent games where physics is tied to frame rate, but that's also an indie thing, so I guess that's more understandable. Maybe that's easier to do for an indie studio, to tie it to the frame rate like that. So the speedruns for that game, we had to, lock everything to 60. If you had a higher frame rate, certain things would go faster, or movement would go farther, some tricks would be possible, some would be impossible, things like that. So in order to make it, somewhat fair, at least. We had, for all PC versions, we locked the speedruns to 60 FPS. Everyone on console was just screwed, though, because that just wasn't an option.
Yeah, doesn't it run at 30 on console?
Yep, it sure does. Of course, those were like, for the longest time, PS4 and Xbox didn't even have like any updates at all. So they were actually running on a version of the game that was earlier than what the 1.0 version on PC was. It was actually even earlier than that, so like it had its own like stuff that it could do. I think they did eventually update that and like bring the DLC to all the consoles, and so like Switch, PS4, and Xbox are all on the same page now. I think they're still pretty different than the PC version, especially in terms of speedrun, just because they do run at 30 FPS, so certain things are different.
Yeah, I think in fairness for a small studio, putting out patches on consoles is kind of fiddly at the best of times.
Right, yeah.
You got both Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo will all want to approve everything, and it's, that can cause all kinds of hold-ups.
I think the version of Hat that was on GOG actually didn't get updates like the Steam version did either. And I think you might have had a better kerfuffle with the platforming there.
Yeah, just a little bit. But this, I will say, this is the worst level in the game, both because it's vertical and it's easy for shit like that to happen, but also there's a part of the level where there's like an early exit, because in the original release of this, before it got patched, it was just so much of a clusterfuck to try and finish the level as it was.
Okay.
Which, like, there you got early goal, and I don't know, I kind of wish they'd just fix the problem rather than doing that. I'm gonna at least try to go for the more fiddly way, but the reason why this is fiddly is that there's a lot of the which way is up sort of thing going on.
I like that it's at least marked that it's an early thing and not just, hey, there's a goal here, but there's also more level, and you could like accidentally run into it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, although it does just feel like a kind of cop-out way of fixing the problem. Like,
It's a bit of a band-aid, yeah.
And then you get shit like that happens, and when I fall back onto the right platform, it kind of has to readjust itself to the fact that this is the floor now.
Yeah, you kind of didn't have any speed when you landed back on it. That wasn't so bad. I feel like you got through that pretty easily for how much was left. Granted, I'm not the one playing, so I guess my comment isn't worth as much.
I think they patched in some extra guides on the side as well. I remember having a lot more trouble with it the first time I played it. Got another cool sword guy.
Seems like there's a lot of cool sword guys.
The dramatic wind in his hair, yeah.
Or his hair and the cap on Fark there. I love the, like, he pulls out the sword and points it at his back, and Fark's just like, you must be that Flint guy. Something about that line just feels weird. That's kind of a line that only works in text. I don't think that would work in voice.
I think it works for Fark because, like, one thing you probably will appreciate more if you played the first one is that Fark, him and Spark had the same sort of Sonic and Shadow dynamic going on, where it's like you got the faker, no, you're the fake one around here sort of thing going on, and so to have Fark as now the slightly disaffected one, slightly just, not too fussed about whatever's going on, it works for him.
Yeah, alright. So, you would probably recommend these games to people that like Sonic stuff, then?
Absolutely, yeah. The only problems we've really been having are a few little teething problems, and, like, the bosses could probably do a bit of like better conveyance, but you know, on the whole, it has the sort of experience that I would look for.
Mm-hmm. How is the first game? Because that is the 2D platformer.
It is a great game. It's one of the ones that is more divisive. I would say it's not as polished as some of the other not Sonics that you have. Like, I would say that stuff like Freedom Planet and whatnot had that extra little bit of care put into them, but for what it is, it's still a lot of fun. One thing that I do find really interesting about that game is much longer in its playtime than this. It's to the point where some people complain about it, which I don't really get, because like all the levels are still fun, so I don't mind it being long. But for a 2D platformer that takes about 4 hours to beat for the main campaign, it's got a lot more meat to it than a lot of 2D platformers have.
Yeah, 4 hours I think is a pretty good time. And I feel like if the levels are fun, then longer levels is fine, because that's just more fun that you're having.
Yeah, it's one of them weird criticisms that I can kind of get. For some people it might outstay its welcome, because like for comparison, say Sonic 3 and Knuckles takes about 2 hours to beat, so it's like 2 Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like, and I think that the majority of the levels in the first game hold up. There's a couple, like the one that stands out to me is this drags on a bit, is the pinball one, because you know it's one of them pinball levels where you get flung all over the place.
Oh yeah,
and that's a gimmick that always outstays its welcome in every fucking game, isn't it?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I just, one of the complaints that people always have about Sonic Colors and the Wii version is that the levels are too short, and they are. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. They are too short in a lot of cases. But then you go play the DS version, and it's like, when does it end? Some of the levels just keep going on forever and ever, and it's like they're only 4 minutes, but it feels like the longest 4 minutes that you've ever played a game in some cases. And that's why I decided to not record it.
Oh, trust me, when I was recording that game for my run, those levels took way longer than 4 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, retrying to get good runs and stuff for playthroughs is you know, definitely pretty rough in a lot of cases. I've had, let me tell you, obviously, like, we haven't recorded the commentary for this, so it hasn't gone up on the channel, but the 100 Acre Wood section in KH1, I had a nervous breakdown recording that, because I kept having to retry, and I was getting interrupted, and this and that and the other, and so many problems were happening, and I eventually just kind of messaged Tom, and I was like, hey, is it cool if we don't do 100 Acre Wood?
I've been there with stuff, but
yeah.
The thing is that I find it fascinating that Tom's the one everyone gives shit to for the whole retake shit, when like Tom is way better about that shit than I am.
Admittedly, he used to be worse.
Yeah, but like even then, it's like I remember distinctly when I was recording Unleashed for the channel, like when we did our HD and Wii combined run, and like there were levels for that I was putting in like entire days just to get like a 4-minute level recorded, and you know, like it just takes that long sometimes when you're trying to actually make the LP good.
I remember the highlight of Tom recording Adabat Day, I think, where
I know the one you mean.
He had spent hours trying to get a hitless run or damageless or whatever, and he finally got it, and then realized his recording software wasn't going, and so he kind of had a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah. Unleashed is one of them runs that I want to redo, like my own run now I have the Series X, both because like it's running at 60 now, but also because there's still parts of that Unleashed LP that I'm not happy about the gameplay with, particularly like the Eggman Land run. I feel like I probably could have done a bit better with that.
Yeah, but Eggman Lands, it's just like, what do you do with that, especially on the HD version, because it lasts forever.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me about that is one of Tom's old runs is marginally better, and that's usually my thing of, like, I've got to do at least a bit better than Tom, like, come on.
That's your point of comparison then, alright.
Unironically, yes, as petty as that sounds.
See, I don't compare myself against anything else, mostly because, like, in the stuff I'm recording, I tend to think that I'm a better player than Tom and stuff anyway. So, like, I mean, I spend more time playing Kingdom Hearts than he does, so I know more about it. I feel like I understand the combat better than he does because I've spent more time in it. So I don't compare myself to Tom in terms of that, but like I compare myself to like probably speedrunners in a lot of cases, which is not good because these are people that have that much more experience in the game than I do.
Yeah, plus in terms of like playthroughs, they're trying to play it in a different way to you as well.
Yeah, for sure. That was part of the reason that I initially really didn't like Mario Odyssey, actually, because I played it trying to play it like speedruns that I had seen. Because I watched some before my first run of the game, and so I was like, hey, I could do all the fancy tricks because I've watched, people play this for months before I managed to get it. It didn't turn out very well.
I feel like some games I can kind of see why you might try to play it like that off the bat, but Odyssey is one of them it's very much a look around, explore kind of game. And like at least on your first time playing it, so you kind of, I feel like you're doing yourself a bit of disservice trying to do that quickly the first time you play it.
It's also a case where, especially like the hat jumps and hat throws and stuff like that, are very complicated inputs when you're not used to the control scheme and stuff like that. And I think you just got tossed off the side of the level there.
Oh yeah, I did. It's fine. It's easy to fix. But like, I say that, although I was still kind of giving Tom a bit of shit. I'm doing really shit with this fucking level. But yeah, I do want to kind of say, because I know that was one of the things that some people did complain about when we did our Odyssey LP, that Rich and I were being a little bit heavy-handed with the backseat, and it's something that I have been trying to get a bit better with over time since we've been doing more blind runs these days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like that was the first time we'd done a proper blind LP with me and Nicole, and I was still sort of in that mindset of dead air is bad, we can't have dead air. Whereas, as I've been watching more people do blind stuff, it starts to click in that actually that can be kind of fun in its own right.
If there's something happening on screen, then I think dead air can be okay as long as it's not too much of it. I still have that mindset in a lot of cases. You could probably hear in some of the KH stuff and in the FF12 streams where I'm like, okay, we haven't said anything for 0.4 seconds. I need to talk.
It's the sort of thing, like, I'm just thinking as we're going along, there probably are a few bits early on that I'm going to re-record for this VOD, but, like, when there's actual action on screen, it's fine. The parts that I always find the worst in any stream or any live LP are the parts where it's a genuinely difficult part of the game, because after a few takes, you just have nothing left to say.
Right, yeah. You run out of stuff to say because you don't feel like repeating yourself. It feels, disingenuous or whatever.
It's obvious when something's like your 8th take, isn't it?
Yeah, that's happened in some of the stuff that I've done with Tom for like KH and Xenoblade and stuff. And I try to vary things up or, be as natural as possible. You're getting a bit of a look into, the background of HFC while whatever the hell this cutscene is plays on screen.
Yeah, it's fine. We've just had a stab in. Don't worry.
Yeah, I see that, yes. Whatever the doll kitty thing back there is looks like it's turned evil if it wasn't evil already. Yeah, it's hard for me, especially post commentary. We're pretty much opposites. You much prefer doing post commentary, whereas I prefer doing live stuff. I would actually rather do live streams than basically anything else. I'm better with streams than even live commentary.
I think what it is that my workflow since day one, I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and what I did from the start on my own channel has always been like post-commentary let's plays, and so the sort of stuff that people like seeing in streams a lot of the time feels wrong to me. It's like if there's a bit of gameplay that's maybe not a perfect run, then that just kind of feels like there's something wrong here. And no matter how much I try to convince myself that actually that's okay here, you know, you're always looking back at the footage after the fact and being like, I could have done this better.
I feel that way about some of my streams too. Like, some of my runs for the Adaptathon last year, I was just really unhappy with, especially Legend of Korra. I hated everything about that run. Even in the middle of it, I asked Tom's like, can we restart? Because I hate this. But we ended up not restarting and it turned out okay. But man, I was just really not happy about a lot of the things that happened in the Adaptathon. That was one of the roughest marathons we've had with all the problems that were going on.
I agree, and that's mainly because we were a few men down that year, and I feel all of us were stretched a bit thin, and it fucking showed.
We also had like so many technical problems, like compounding on top of each other. Like me losing the Harry Potter run was kind of the last straw, almost. Where like after everything else had happened, you know, we had to scrap some runs or, you know, shift stuff around because things happened. And then the Harry Potter thing happened and it was like, are we even going to continue?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know, honestly. And so we picked it back up the next day and, you know, we just kept trucking and it actually ended up turning out pretty well.
I think the thing that I personally had the most hang-ups with was the fact that I ended up taking over CoCom slots for a lot of games that were adaptations of things that I had never played and barely heard of. And if you follow any of the stuff I do on the main channel, you know, most of my commentary style is more analytical stuff. And if I have nothing to cling on to, if I'm just looking at a game from like an anime I don't watch or a book I've never read, it's like, what do I really talk about here?
Yeah, I tend to have the same problem in terms of not having a lot to say if it's something I don't care about. But I can also, because I have more experience streaming, I guess, than the post commentary, I have that something of an ability to react to what's going on screen so I could still talk about it. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't really have much to say while Tom was playing Spiritfarer. But I could still react to like the stuff that was going on in the game and the characters and all that.
I think it's very telling in the difference in our styles, in that the thing that kind of reassures me most if I'm not too happy with how a stream's going is that I can re-record shit in post. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, if I get any facts wrong while I'm reading stuff out, or whatever, I can fix it in post. So I can record the pickup and add that in and correct myself. And if I stumble over words, I can space it out better. Things like that. And that's another thing, is part of why I'm a lot more confident about going into the Sonic-a-thon now. We've got this whole audio track problem sorted out, that if I need to redo shit, I can.
Yeah, we have, for those that don't know, we have a plugin for OBS that separates every source of audio onto a different track.
Jesus,
so
fuck.
that that they could be, oh, okay.
I'm gonna try and save it. Can I save it?
Oh no. I don't think you're supposed to be here.
No, I'm dead.
Okay, well, yeah, so what it does is it takes every audio source and it separates it onto a different track, which means they can all be edited individually in terms of, you know, needing to cut things out or volume levels and stuff like that. And so Flame has been awesome for editing all the stream stuff that we've done, basically since the Adaptathon last year, really.
Pretty much, and there were a few runs like that I had to just do some basic edits with, like during the earlier marathons. But that was the one I think we got a couple of days in, and I was just like, yeah, some of this stuff needs cutting. And like, I feel like pretty much anyone who works with video will understand where I'm coming from here, in that once you start editing something, if it's like one thing that you look at and you think, okay, this needs an edit, then you're gonna, whether you mean to or not, you're gonna edit the whole thing. You're gonna go through and fix everything, just as you can.
For sure. I mean, I think there's something to be said for having the full unedited video available, but those are usually saved on Twitch. So I think that's fine. Whereas the stuff we have on YouTube is usually the, proper editing videos that, the Let's Plays and stuff that we usually have. So I think having better edited stuff... Oh, can you save this?
Probably not. Let's try going around on the other side here. I might be able to get some air.
Okay.
I'm gonna fucking do this one way or the other. Yep. Okay, let's... Oh fuck, no! I was nearly there and then I got twatted!
Oh no! Oh my god.
Yeah, but like basically what my mindset with a lot of that stuff is that a video you watch live, it's a very different experience to something that you're watching after the fact, because when we're live, if there's a bit of a hold up, like if the runner's dying a lot or whatever, you can sort of talk amongst yourselves and chat until we're back, whereas on a stream, like on a video after the fact, like you don't really have that, so you're basically just watching the same shit over and over.
Yeah, and it's fine if there's like funny things happening, like that death back there.
Yeah, that's staying in.
or if there's interesting commentary that's being talked about, I think it's fine to keep in, or maybe like edit over a proper run or something like that if you wanted to do that. So there's ways to handle it, and I appreciate, like, I've said this many times, I appreciate the work you've done, like, on editing all this stuff, because it definitely saves me and Tom a whole bunch of time and work having to do it. And I'd be honest, me trying to edit stuff wouldn't work that well, because I don't do a lot of editing when it comes to commentary. Almost basically none at all. So
it's something that you kind of build up a groove for, and it makes it easier to turn it around quicker. For me, I'm basically watching the video, and whenever I see something on the track that looks out of place, that's like, I recognise the little visual peaks and that for when either people are talking over each other, or there's a cough, or the mouth noises that I make all the time, that I've got that bit of a spit that's really annoying, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can look at the waveform of the audio and like tell where things happen. And I mean, I could kind of do that if there's an obvious point, but usually if I have to edit something, like if I'm editing all my gameplay stuff, I tend to just sit through the entire video and edit it, and like, once that's done, then I sit through it again to make sure everything's fine.
Yeah, I sort of almost obsessively watch the thing back once it's done, like on the days leading up to it going live, just because I always worry that the one time I maybe don't give it a proper run through will be the time that there's like an encoding error or some shit and half the video's going to be black.
Yeah, I was actually having a really strange thing happen in Vegas when I was editing the one, part of Colors DS that I did. And I think it's because I had output the video at such a high resolution that Vegas just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, Premiere chugs like shit with the way that we do DS stuff as well. I think it is literally just the size.
Something was happening to where, after a certain amount of time of having Vegas open, parts of the video would just be a completely blank screen. The audio would play just fine, and if I close Vegas and open it back up, it would be fine, but it acted like there was no actual video portion to, the stuff that was on the track. It was really weird.
I see people in chat saying this is so Star Wars. It's got the sort of epic confrontation, because this guy is the big bad. It's kind of obvious that that's what we've been leading up to, so, we've got our face off here. Yeah, that is definitely the lightning, you're right.
Yeah, I do think the blue weapon is probably the best. It seems like you're getting more damage out of that than any of the others.
I am getting some combos in, which is helping, I think, because now, like, you see the 3 times damage there.
Yeah.
So that's what I need to do, really, try and hold on to that.
Oh, that's what that bar is. Okay. Yeah, I see now.
Yeah, it's just when you get the twatted by random white glow attacks that, you know, you lose that and then you're back to square one.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, definitely keeping that combo up as much as possible is definitely the trick for this one.
It's definitely helping, yeah. The thing is, I'm paying too close attention to him to pay attention to how what he's doing is affecting my own health.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to tell whether I'm parrying certain attacks properly or not, but we're back on phase 3 now. And the problem is, when he does them chain attacks, if you fuck up the first parry, the cooldown before you parry again is too long for you to be able to parry the follow-up one. So you're going to get hit by all 3.
Also, if he's like on the other edge of the arena, you can't even see the tell for it.
Basically, yeah. Okay, it's looking good, but there's something else.
Yep.
Wrong whale on him. Okay. There we go. Now, I know there is something else left, though.
Okay.
But it's okay, because it's literally the coolest shit ever.
Is it a supersonic final boss?
I'll let you watch.
Alrighty.
So this is his actual form, what he is.
Okay.
Unit 2, or Fark. So yeah, we got a lot more of the shadow illusions going on.
Oh, alright.
Here we go. Yeet.
Why is this suddenly Dragon Ball Z?
Because it's fucking cool, that's why. Yes, here we go. It's sort of got the Dragon Ball design aesthetic, but with a bit of Metal Sonic as well. And we've got another vocal theme.
Alright.
And this one's much simpler, just sort of punch the shit out of him, but I like that in games. I like it when you have the, like, really hard penultimate boss, and then you get something that's just a spectacle to cap things off.
Oh, right, yeah, for sure.
Which, again, that's the Sonic Adventure 2 thing. Change the sword for a spear.
Yeah, this guy's kind of like a combo between Frieza and Cell in terms of design. I can definitely see a lot of that.
Yeah, it's the eye that makes me think of Metal Sonic, that from his heroes.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Hey, Mike Alpha Gamer, this is Spark the Electric Jester 2, and you joined in at the final boss, so...
So, what you were talking about, Spar?
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're fucking doing. God, I fucking love this so much. This is video games.
This is peak video games.
Oh, yeah. Like, the first game had a cool endgame as well, but this is just something special. Take him.
This is what Balan Wonderworld wishes it could be.
Oh god, yeah.
This is raw shit.
Oh, right through. Then he just left us running in the background. That's great.
Oh, I love every bit of that. That was awesome.
It is absolutely fucking incredible. We have been given the badass approval. Yeah, Fark did kind of come away with more questions than answers. Maria, this is what you wanted, right? I don't know how the third game could beat that spectacle-wise. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're going to be going for, because Spark 3 is back to playing as Spark, so like from the demos it seems like it's a lot less combat oriented than this game was, but they've also reworked the way the combat works, so it could kind of go either way. If they were going to try and have a different kind of spectacle, then you might want to bring in some like race kind of stuff more so than a big fight at the end like that, but we'll just have to wait and see. But folks, that was Spark the Electric Jester 2, and after replaying it, it's probably like my third or fourth time playing through in full now. It's still fucking fantastic. I do kind of wish that we had some slightly better tells, as we've mentioned this over and over throughout the bosses, but you know, like that's the thing that maybe needs tweaking. Everything else, you know, like go play this game, it's fantastic. That's the takeaway, yeah.
Yeah, just from watching I can say, in terms of the platforming, a lot of the stuff could probably do with magnetizing you to a floor a little bit better. Some of the loops and stuff you were getting thrown off when you couldn't even really tell what was going on. The bosses are iffy, I would say. A lot of them I feel like are not balanced particularly well. Someone going through this on the first time is going to have a lot of trouble with the bosses, I feel like.
It's kind of the sort of gameplay style that you have to just learn, and me playing this on stream not knowing how to parry probably isn't the best showcase of that. But like I say, it's the tells that maybe need fixing up a little bit.
For sure, yeah. I mean, all in all, it looked like a really fun time. And I was just glad to be here co-commenting on it. It was a bit of a rambly talk about everything but the game kind of stream, but I'd say that's pretty normal for our stuff.
Yeah, we have that sometimes, it's fine. Alright, now apparently, according to the Necromaniac, this and the first game are in a bundle on Steam for about $20. So yeah, definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, I've seen that, definitely. They are usually on sale whenever Steam is having any kind of big sale, these definitely go on sale. So definitely, if any of this interested you, go ahead and pick it up.
I've got to say, I do always kind of like, there's the full credits. I know we sort of skim past that, but the game made by LakeFeperd, music by other people.
Yep, it's very cool.
It is. I want to say that I find the crediting all the characters in the game endearing in cases like this. It's just a shame that sometimes that in other games I've seen that used to not properly credit the actual people who worked on the game. Like the Game Boy Mega Man games are an example of that.
It helps that in this case that they had multiple characters that were, as they were cycling through, multiple at a time, rather than doing one at a time.
It weren't just one of them, yeah. Let's have a little look. I think I maybe picked up 2 pieces of art while I was doing this.
Alright.
Let's see, will it show up which ones?
I guess, is this some of the stuff that you can find hidden in the levels?
If you look around, there were a couple of spots in the first level where I picked up the little floppy disks that have these on, and then naturally I went back to I want to proceed quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Turbo Bird concept, and I think there was maybe one other unused stage art. I'm not sure what that's even trying to be.
Okay. Alright.
Let's see, did I get any others without realising or not?
I think you might have only picked up 2 of them, yeah.
There's one.
Oh, alright.
Neo, an alternate design of the Neo boss.
Alright, cool.
Yep. Shantoria Town, the texture art. I love stuff like this, even though you can just Google it.
Yeah, these kind of things are really cool, especially if you can, go out and get this for, exploring in a level. I think that's pretty neat.
See, if this were a Richie playthrough, this would be like a 30-minute bonus video.
For sure, yeah.
God bless him. I think that might have been all of them. I'm getting high up and I haven't had any in a while. Oh no, I spoke too soon. Here's some concept art from Marlowe. He was in the first game as well, so his design didn't really change that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to the start. So, yeah, guys, that was Fark the Electric Jester 2. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Spar, for hanging out with me during this. And tomorrow, we're going to be doing another stream. Spar, would you like to reconfirm to people what that's going to be?
Yep, I'll be doing a full run of Super Mario Sunshine. That's any percent, not 120 shines, by the way. Just to clarify, I want to make perfectly clear that I am not doing 120 shines. For those of you on YouTube, be sure to check out the HFC live stream and follow and all that, because it's we have a good time over here sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. If you follow the live stream and you can put notifications on. If not, you can also join our HFC Discord. I'm not sure if that's linked onto the stream or not, but we usually announce there when we're going live if you don't keep Twitch open all the time. So either way, hope you guys have enjoyed the stream, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 PM BST for some Super Mario Sunshine. Bye bye for now.
Bye everyone.